Good day, class. Welcome back to our discussion in Unit 3, Formulating a Research Problem. This time, let's talk about Lesson 2, Writing a Research Statement for Qualitative Research. In this lesson, we try to understand how writing a research statement for qualitative research works and what are the necessary concepts in order for us to be able to execute and to learn how to write research statements for qualitative research. Using a search engine, how do you think the search results differ if you type tree compared to when you type narratory? So this concept is also how we integrate our understanding to the need to understand how writing research statements for qualitative research work. If you're just going to simply say write research problems or write research statements, then ultimately you will be misguided. But if you are going to specify it and you are going to identify what type of research you are going to write research problems, then there is now clarity, a guide for you to write or for you to identify what research problems you're going to write. So in this lesson, as we get to know what are the necessary ways or for us to write research problems for a qualitative research, I wanted to jot down key discussions in order for us to understand this concept better, and most of all, jot down questions that may form along the discussion so that we can discuss them during our online classes. Now, in this lesson, the main objectives is for us to differentiate between research problem and research question, characterize a good qualitative research statement, and develop a research statement for qualitative research. Now, if there are activities in this lesson that may not be included in this discussion, just refer it to your modules in Quipper. Now, let's begin with this concept. Research questions are specific inquiries that are enumerated to answer the research problem. Take note of that. A research problem is a general expression of what you want to investigate. Again, let's go back on that a little bit. Ang research question, specific nga mga pangutana, specific inquiries that are enumerated to answer the research problem. So there is a connection between research questions and research problems because the research problem is a general expression of what you want to investigate. So from this general expression, we now identify the specific inquiries that you would like to ask in order for us to answer them during the conduct of the study. Now, the study aims to determine the differences in the celebration of Christmas in rural and urban areas in Luzon. That is the research problem. If we are going to identify now the research questions, we do it this way. What Christmas traditions are conducted? A, rural area. B, urban area. So there is now a specific way or a specific inquiry that needs to be answered during the conduct of the research study that is still connected to the research problem. Remember that the research problem is generic. General na siya, general expression. Nga naga-aim ta to determine the differences in celebrations of Christmas in rural and urban areas in Luzon. So kung atuwa na siyang himuong question or we are going to specify it into our research questions, then we are going to be questioning or asking what Christmas traditions are going to be conducted. A, in the rural area, and B, in the urban area, in order for us to drive out the specific informations that will answer the research questions that we have enumerated. Another, how does the community prepare for Christmas? A, in the rural area. B, in the urban area. Since that this falls under the generic question or the generic problem in our research problems, then we also need to understand how to cite or enumerate these as questions. 3. How different do the communities value Christmas? Now, it's always important to remember that qualitative research is the meaning-making of experiences and understanding of non-numerical information. Therefore, if non-numerical information is for or numerical information is for quantitative research, qualitative research is focused on making the meaning out of the experiences and understanding of informations that are non-numerical. Since qualitative research requires a personal immersion, qualitative research statement should have or should help you extract what you have observed. Qualitative research statements focus on understanding the stories that relate to the relationships being observed. Now, in writing qualitative research questions, we always begin or we always start with what, why, or how. These questions should be open-ended. These stated questions should be reflective. Now, a central question should be identified as well. Now, writing sub-questions that narrow down the central question is necessary. A qualitative research question should always be open-minded in nature so that discoveries about the phenomenon can be made. Take note that again, a qualitative research question should always be open-minded or should always be open-ended in nature so that discoveries related to the phenomenon can be made. Now, in talking about the characteristics of a good research statement, we go back to the SMART goals. The acronym SMART, which means specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Research statements should be researchable. That is a given. Research statements should also be relevant. Now, in this discussion class, we were able to identify what are the necessary elements to remember in writing and identifying research problems from research questions. Now, let's try to wrap up our discussion. When we talk about a research problem, this is a general expression of what your research is all about, while research questions are specific inquiries originating from the research problem. Qualitative research statements focus on addressing the experiences, beliefs, values, and perspectives of people in order to understand a phenomenon. Qualitative research statements should be SMART, researchable, and most of all, relevant. Now, in decoding this lesson, let's try to understand this graph. Either qualitative or quantitative research, this always falls into the research question that is stemming from the research problem. Now, if there are any notable questions that you would like to ask with regards to this lesson, make sure to jot them down so that we can differentiate further a research problem from a research question and understand how to write a research problem for a qualitative research study. Now, if this has been useful, thank you so much for watching, and always remember to keep safe.